Hi guys, how are you? All right, let's see.
Hi.
How are you guys?
Thank you, Andy.
I see your name. I chose not to do anybody's faces because I know sometimes people don't like that. So I was like, at least if people can see me. But yeah, you can unmute yourself at any time to ask questions, or you can always put it in the chat bar too. So whatever works for you guys. So happy to have you guys. Did you guys have a good day?
Yes, we are glad to be back.
Yay!
We need to get moving again.
Yay. It's so funny because I think it was yesterday in my time hop, it popped up a video or pictures of the boys eating something that you guys had made and you had tagged me. So I was like, oh, such perfect timing for them to be back.
Yes. We're probably overdue, but we're back.
Awesome. Love it. I love it. I love it. And we have Brenda on. I'm going to make sure we're recording because I told people that if they couldn't be on, I was going to record. So this is just going to be very laid back. I really just wanted to come on. We're going to try and do these possibly even like once a week. As I went through my 2B Mindset mentorship, this was really encouraged. I mean, this is a program that really is more like one-on-one. A lot of it has to be done where you're, just working one-on-one with people. And so I'm going to make this so I go. Sorry, guys, there we go. So a lot of it is just, like looking at your trackers because everyone is so different, right? And that's really what this program is all about, is finding what works for you. And obviously we're going to follow the bunnies. We're going to follow the plate it technique. But as we go through, like we may modify and we may find that it is, like I had a carb 2 nights this week and FSC and it was fine. And so just journaling and tracking is going to, Mike just went, is going to be the key component. So this is going to be this is going to be our jam, this tracker right here. So what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and get started. And I obviously wanted to kind of cover some of the basics and then field any questions that you guys have. So a couple things to help you get started. So you should have gotten my go-to guide, and all of this is digital as well. Your getting started guide, your recipes, your food tracker, your water bottle, and your online access to all your videos, right? So you should have all of that. And so where I want us to start is we're just going to get into this getting started guide. So I encourage everyone, and I believe actually everyone who's here has watched the video. So fantastic, because that's the biggest obstacle, right? Is getting everybody to initially watch those videos. So super glad that you guys watched the videos and started learning the principles. Now don't feel like you can't go back and watch those videos because maybe you get to the point where you're like, I hit a plateau. So you go back and you watch that video. Or you're like, oh, we're going out to eat. What could I can't remember what she said, some tips on that. You go back and watch that video. Or we're going to the grocery store. You go back and watch. So always feel like you can go back to those videos as need be. So, but this is your getting started guide. So it talks you through obviously the videos. We want to make sure we do the water bottle. You guys, this is going to be key, is just drinking water, okay? So just if there comes a point where you're like, oh my gosh, I am so hungry. What I have to tell myself a lot is, okay, let's drink some water. Let's kind of calm down and let's figure out what are some healthy choices that we can make. And it's amazing by just starting to make that small change with that first bunny. If you just stop yourself and you're like, okay, I'm not starving, because there are people in countries who are actually starving. If I can just take some water, take a couple deep breaths, and then really, really make a conscious choice on what I'm going to eat right now, right? Because so much of the poor choices that we make are just out of a lot of times stress, or we're rushed and we just need to grab something, or we don't have planned anything for ourselves, so we just take the crumbs of what the kids are eating, right? So much of it is just going to be making sure you have water with you. So here's one trick that I do. So every day I fill up 4 water bottles and I put them on my counter. And I don't mind room temperature water. So if you wanted it cold, you could stick them in your fridge. But the reason I fill them up first thing in the morning is because then I visually see my progress of water throughout the day, right? Otherwise, it can be really hard. If you get going and you haven't tracked, or you're like, gosh, did I finish that bottle of water? Or, it's this full and you're like, oh, I'm going to be out, so I'm going to fill another one. So I just keep 4 constantly filled on my counter. And that way then too, if I know I'm going to be out, I can grab 2 and I can have, extras with me. So that is a tip that I would have, give you guys in terms of water. Also, have a case of water in your car. Like just grab a case of water, keep it in your trunk. And so you always have some water with you. So that's a couple tips and tricks I have on water. Also, okay, here's another thing. So this water bottle comes with a straw. I will tell you right now, if I drink from that tiny straw, I get very bloated. And I've had a couple challengers, and Casey Arns, who actually I shared the transformation video with you of her, when she first started 2B Mindset, she messaged me and she's like, Jess, I am so bloated. Like, I don't know if it's all the veggies, I don't know what it is, but I'm miserably bloated. And I said, are you using the 2B Mindset water bottle? And she said, well, yeah, of course. I said, are you using the straw? And she said, well, yeah. And she stopped using it and it helped immensely. I mean, she's like, and she's so honest. She's so great. She's like, I was like going and buying Beano and Gas-X. Like, I didn't know what was wrong with me. So, and I know Erin too. When she first started, she was like, Jess, and I was like, take those straw out, and it helps immensely. So then you do have to, either just unscrew it and drink, or use it kind of like as a Gatorade water bottle and just kind of squirt it into your mouth. But that would be a tip I would have on that, because I've had several people say they've gotten bloated with the straw. So just a little tip. So, and Erin is on. So hello, Erin.
Hello.
We were just talking about the straw.
Oh, yes. Major issue for me.
And Casey too. So we're just kind of going through the getting started guide. I was going to just kind of, cover the 2 bunnies, give some tips and tricks, and kind of field some questions from the group as we, and just kind of what we expect of the group, journaling and letting us, really have a hands-on approach with the group. So that's kind of where we're at so far.
Perfect.
Okay, so the go-to guide. This is a great guide, you guys. Keep this in your bag, in your car, somewhere where you really do have easy access to it. There's a ton of great information in here. So this is like great to even take to the grocery store with you. It obviously gives you the 2 bunnies recap. So just to recap the bunnies, water first, okay? So we're always gonna be drinking 16 ounces of water right when we wake up. And then anytime before we eat any food, we wanna stop ourselves and say, okay, let's just drink some water, okay? So water first. And your goal really should try to be at least half your body weight. So let's say you weigh 200 pounds, your goal, 100 ounces of water. And I know so many people are like, that seems crazy. And that seems like so much water. And I'm going to be in the bathroom all the time. And you may be initially. I do think your body starts to kind of adjust a little bit. But that, the more water you're taking in, it's going to, so many times when we think we're hungry, we're just really thirsty. And a lot of times we don't realize how kind of dehydrated we really are. So I know it may be tough, but I want you guys, even for this first week, if that's the number 1 bunny you focus on is water, let's tackle it. Okay. So that is going to be our bunny of the week. Okay. We're going to have bunnies of the week. And
Jessica, can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
We had a question going through the books and the videos on the water. She says drink 16 ounces of water before you eat. Does that mean we're sitting down at the kitchen table, we slam 16 ounces of water and then eat? Or do we drink water half an hour ahead of time? Or how does that work? Great question.
So they recommend anywhere between 5 to like 30 minutes before your meal. Does that help?
I usually drink mine while I'm cooking dinner. Mm-hmm. I'll have mine beside me, and it kind of stops me from also nibbling while I'm prepping dinner.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So not necessarily slamming it, like sitting down and being like, okay, before I sit down and take any bites, I'm going to slam this. But yeah, like drinking it. She recommended, like, if you have to, like if you're like, oh, I didn't drink. I mean, you could slam some water, but they recommend more like 5 to that 30-minute window. So that way, then it also kind of settles a little bit, and you're not so waterlogged, and they're like, oh, I don't want to eat anything. So, yeah.
We weren't sure if that was the point, if you were drinking the water so you were waterlogged and not eating.
Yeah, we still want you eating, but this, like Erin said, it's great for like when you're cooking, like when I make kids lunches, like, because usually I feed my kids before I feed myself, right? Like having that water. That water right there. Like I'm going to have my water right now. See, I have my water right here. So that you're not snacking. So yeah, that's a great question. Any other questions on that? concerns about the weight and getting that much water in? Okay, I feel like Alana in our training video, she kept drinking water. Do you remember that, Erin?
She did. Yeah.
She's like, I'm going to drink more water now.
Yeah.
Water. Okay, so that's the first bunny, right? Second bunny is Veggies Most. So obviously we just want to make sure that like we're reaching for veggies, right? So veggies are going to fill the majority of our plate at every meal. And then also like if we're hungry and we want more, we're having water first, veggies most. So those are going to be like the primary, those are kind of like, think of them as steps, like water first, veggies most. We're just constantly going back and forth between those two. And in here, we'll get into the veggie kind of list. The third bunny is the scale. And I know so many people are like, I hate the scale. But this program, and I will be so honest. So this program launched in May, and I was like, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this. I've told my people, don't worry about the scale. Get off the scale. But Alana has forever changed my mindset of the scale. Because what we want this to be is truly, the scale is just a tool, right? It's just like our journal. It is just a tool for us to learn from, right? So if it changes the next day, we can look back at our journal, and if it changes in a positive way, we can be like, okay, here's what I did yesterday that made a really positive difference on that scale. If it goes up, that's fine. Like we can go back to our journal and we can look at that. The other thing too, like I want you guys to be thinking at like a week's time frame, right? So 2 pounds at a time is all we're going to tackle. But so for instance, I was just working with someone this last week, and they messaged me today, and they're like, I really kind of wishy-washy all week. I kind of went back and forth. I don't feel like I made any progress. And I was like, okay, go back to last Sunday's journal, and what was your weight on Sunday? And what is your weight today? And they're like, oh, I did lose 2 pounds. And they truly had in their mind that they had lost, like they just bounced all week. So it may not constantly go down every single day. You may see some fluctuations based on like if you had more sodium, if you had a glass of wine. I mean, so it can fluctuate from day to day, but by tracking it every single day, you can kind of see those fluctuations. The other thing too is a lot of times people hop on it, you know, in the past, maybe you hopped on it every Monday. It's like Monday is my day, I'm going to start. Well, your weekend is typically the time that most people indulge. So then Monday, if you're doing it just like on Monday and Friday, if you hop on Monday, you're like, ugh, okay. So then you dial it in. Yep. You're like, okay, I got to make changes. Well, come Friday, let's say you hop on and you're like, wow, I had a great week. I lost a lot of weight. I can party this weekend. And so then you're back to where you started the following Monday. So it's truly just a tool. Like, do not let it defeat you. Do not let it define you. It is truly just a measuring tool for us to get more insight into what we can change, what's working, what's not. Erin, do you have anything you'd add to that, or does anybody have any questions on that?
Yeah, I agree. It just takes changing your mindset and just letting it become a habit too.
Mm-hmm. And I have on my phone, I had shared in the group the scale that I use, and it just Bluetooth digitally uploads to my phone, which is nice because I literally first thing in the morning I get up and I take my phone in and I weigh myself. And so that way then I don't necessarily have to have my tracker with me. So I really do like that aspect of my phone being able to sync with that, because I typically keep this on my kitchen counter. But if not, just make sure that you have a sticky notes there so you can make sure you are measuring that. And I really do encourage you guys, if you are going to use the scale, try to get one with ounces, because even those ounces, you guys, 2 ounces, 3 ounces, they're going to add up to change. They really, really are. If you guys watched my video that I posted of Casey, like her first month, she's like, I lost 7 pounds. And she was so mad by that. But 7 pounds is still 7 pounds, you know, and it still got her going. And so I just don't want you guys to be defeated by it and be scared of it. I really want you guys to just embrace the mentality and be like, okay, all I'm doing from this thing is learning, right? Because so many times people get to the point where they've feared the scale for so long that when they finally get on it, they're like, how did that number get there, right? And that's why you constantly just have to have those pulse checks. So any other questions or concerns or anything with that? Perfect. Okay. The fourth bunny, tracking. And you guys, we just cannot preach this enough. And this is going to take time. I'm not going to lie. It's going to take time. It's just a habit.
A couple more minutes.
And so that's where just learning how to use it is the most important, okay? So here's a couple of best practices that I have. I have actually set in my phone, I have reminders. And I have a reminder at, I want to say like maybe 9 a.m., 12:30, like 3 and 6. And it truly is an alarm that goes off. It's titled Bite and Write. You could label it anything else. Like you could write, like make a note. Like if you're worried someone's going to see it on your phone if it pops up. But mine's labeled Bite and Write. And it's just a reminder for me to track because I still am trying to get in this habit. Like I just started 2B Mindset really like in September. And so I'm still trying to get in the mindset and the habit of constantly tracking, right? And especially like in the morning, like we might get rushed and get out the door. And typically my breakfast is always the same, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. But I will get till 9:30 when my phone goes off, and I'm like, I haven't recorded anything. Like, and I've maybe had a pre-workout, I've had my Energize, I've had a slew of stuff already. I'm like, I haven't recorded anything. And if I didn't have those reminders, chances are I probably could get to 6 o'clock at night and then be like, oh my gosh, I didn't write down anything. And so then at that point, I'm probably going to just write down like the main things that I remembered eating. Like, oh yeah, I had salad and a sandwich for lunch. Well, chances are I might have had more, but I forgot to track. And so I'm just going to remember kind of the highlights. And like the progress is going to come in making those little notes. Like, you know what? I had a handful of chocolate chips, or I was getting the kids some goldfish and I had a handful of goldfish. And so that is where we're going to be able to see change and really, really just be able to look at your tracker with you then and be like, okay, so what if we made this change? What if we made this change? Okay. The other thing too, you guys, is really like, I encourage you to use your journal to talk about like how foods are making you feel. I'll just share this example. So I recently got some of our Beachbody beach bars because they are amazing. And but it's been almost, it'll be a year in April. I went to a primarily like vegetarian diet, right? So I've cut out the whey and the whey protein. And so I drink vegan Shakeology. The bars have whey protein and my body just wasn't used to it. And I was like eating them every day because they're absolutely amazing. And I'm like, why am I so bloated? I'm so bloated and constipated. Like these are the things you have to track, guys. Like these are important things. And I was like, what's changed? I'm like, oh yeah, I added those bars in. So I cut them out and it helped. Like my gut was just not used to it. And so I just, encourage you guys to share, like, if you eat certain things, if it's making you feel a certain way, or if you ate something, you're like, gosh, I got really tired right after that. All of that, track. The other thing I really, really encourage you guys to do, and I know it's going to be out of a lot of people's comfort zone, but I think it's going to be very important. And it's sharing your journal, okay? And sharing your tracker in this group. Because this is a completely private group. Here's what I would say. You don't have to share your weight, okay? So when you take a picture of your journal, just take a picture, cover your weight. Like you don't have to share your weight with anybody, you guys. That can be your own. But I want you guys to be able to be comfortable sharing this, because here's why. That's how we can help you as coaches and your mentors, right? Because if we can't see your tracker, then we can't help you change. But the other thing is too, other people can learn from it. Like, oh, that sounds like a great meal. Tell me, how did you make that, right? And also it creates some accountability for you guys, because like, if you have to show this at the end of the day, are you going to eat that extra cookie? Like, so it just creates a little bit more accountability. So if you bite it, you write it. If you drink it, if you sip it, you're going to, write it. And so sometimes it makes you think like, do I really want to track this? Do I really want to eat this? Because do I really want to track it? So, but I just, just take at the end of the day, just take a snapshot. Like I said, you can cover up that weight. You do not have to show that to anyone, but at least we can start to then help you. So, one thing I would say even is maybe possibly we create albums for each person. Erin, what do you think about that? So like, like Sarah, you have an album, and that's where every day you just upload your picture of your tracker. So that way then, like if you are like, I'm just stuck, like nothing is moving. We can go to your actual folder and like look at your week of journals. Erin, what would you add for that? Anything?
Yeah, a couple of things I wrote down. Alana said, like, if you have a really busy day and you're out and about, or you're at, restaurants and, just life gets crazy, to take pictures of your food. If you, in the moment, don't have time to actually track it, and then later on you can go back and write it down or add it to your app later. So I thought that was a really good tip. And she also just said, like, no one is perfect. Like, there is no such thing as a perfect day, because we're all different, and everybody is going to, be different with what is successful to them, and to other people. So I thought that was really good too. Cause I know sometimes if you're going to share your tracker, you're like, oh, I can't share it. Like I didn't eat perfect today. And she always says, like, you're not cheating how does she say it? Like, if you, don't track it, then that's cheating. So, write everything down. Like, we're not here to judge anybody at all. But just learn through the process and just use your tracker. And then that's really where you're going to see, what gives you, good success, and what, are your weight loss days. And then you can just grow and learn from that every day.
And she said too, also, that, when I was like, oh, I just had something to say and I can't remember. It'll come back to me maybe. But you did make a good point. There is a Beachbody Nutrition app. So like, if you are an electronic person and you don't want to carry this around, this is all available digitally through the Beachbody Nutrition app. So yeah, that's a great point.
Mm-hmm. So how did you guys, how are you guys tracking? Are you doing pencil paper and you just take your book with you wherever you go, or are you using the app?
I use this personally, and it's always sitting on my kitchen counter, and it always is sitting with my planner. And so whenever I walk out the door, I just grab my planner and I grab this, and I take them both with me. So, yep, I do. I just find that, like, when I write it, I feel more accountable. Like, and I don't know, I just feel different when I'm writing it as opposed to putting it in an app. But some people are like, dude, I'm not carrying that thing. And other people have they've spiral bound it to make it a little easier to navigate through. But if you seriously, like, I'm still stuck in the night, look at my paper planner. Like, I'm not digital. So if you're digital, you go for it. You go.
Okay.
And the last time I looked, there wasn't an app on the Android. It was just on the iPhone. Is that still true?
Correct. Yep. I have an Android also, and we don't have the app yet. So I'm sure it's coming. Fingers crossed.
I think it's been coming since we originally talked about 2B.
I think so too. We can ask in our group, maybe if somebody has an update for us.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea in our mentorship group. Yep, yeah, that's a really good idea. Mm-hmm. Okay, gosh, I was going to say something about this and I can't remember now. All right, it'll come back to me. Okay, so that is tracking. So why don't we do that? Let's set up, I'll just set up a folder tonight for every challenger in this group, okay? And so that is where, when you go to upload your picture of your journal, just go to albums, and I would click on Jessica Cogswell, and I would just upload my picture of my journal to my album. Does that make sense to everybody? That way, then it keeps it very clean, and we have all of yours in your folder. Cool. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, let's see here. So in here too, it talks through the different food groups. Does anybody have questions on, obviously there's the list of veggies. This is different. If you've done 21-day fix before in the Fix 8 containers, there's no hierarchy system, okay? A veggie is a veggie, and we just want you each eating veggies. The other great thing about this program is we want you, if you need to add, some sea salt and coconut oil, or a little bit of butter, or some chicken broth to your veggies, or cheese, you can do that. If that helps you eat more vegetables, add those accessories. So I love that aspect of this. There's obviously the proteins. The proteins are going to help us, feel whole and satisfied. So we're having proteins at every meal, veggies at every meal, and then carbohydrates. We're going to keep those towards the first part of our day, because that's when we need our energy, right? If you think about it, like so many times people like a lot of times want their biggest meal at night. But why? Because what are we really doing at night? We don't need a ton of energy. Typically we are, just hanging out on the couch, or maybe we're doing some office work. We're not like up and moving a ton, and then we're going to bed, right? So think of that as like, gosh, that doesn't need to be my biggest meal. Like rather let me make a bigger breakfast or a bigger lunch, or a bigger snacktional if I need it, in terms of planning your meals. And then accessories are like your cheeses, your butters, your oils, your salad dressings, all of those. So does anybody have questions regarding food groups or anything there? No? Okay. All right. So then there's food lists. Erin, do you want to talk a little bit about like silly carbs and treats? That's where my point was. It was around treats. Yes, we don't, and that's what I was going to say. So I'll say it before I forget. Like we don't want, like you may learn through this process that you can have treats every now and then. And it doesn't have this massive change and an effect on the scale. And that's where we want you guys to see like, gosh, I really enjoyed that treat last night. And you know what? The scale wasn't as bad as I thought it was today. And that's where this mindset shift comes with this program. So Erin, if you want to touch a little bit about like on silly carbs and treats and, kind of the emotional aspect of that, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. So like you said before, like with tracking is where this really comes into play. Cause I know for me, it depends on, different times of the month. My husband travels a lot. And so I always find that I stress eat when he's gone, and I go towards certain foods like chocolate and wine to kind of feel that emotion. And so I find that if I track down like those feelings I'm having, and especially if it's like a certain time of day, like after the kids go to bed, it kind of helps me like stop in my tracks and really ask myself like, okay, do I need this? Or is it just like feeling that emotion for me? So usually if I can, do something like have a drink of water, or maybe choose something different, like some watermelon or something like that, I can usually, get past it. But at the same time, I think there's parts of life that we, need to live and celebrate. So for example, today we had my son's birthday party. So of course, I decided to have a small slice of cake with him to celebrate. And I don't feel guilty about it. I tracked it. Now, did I choose like the giant corner piece with like all the frosting? Like, no. Okay. I still wanted to like live and enjoy and celebrate the moment. So I just had like a normal, nice size piece. And some of the fries just like was so sweet. I just couldn't even finish it. So really just, just track it. And one of the things she says is that like, you might be surprised that like having these treats on occasion, like it doesn't make you gain a whole bunch of weight the next day. If I wake up tomorrow and I get on the scale, like I might be surprised. Like, sometimes I think it really does kind of play with your mind. And that's where, getting on the scale every day is just so helpful. And I think that's where it can kind of just change your mindset and not be afraid to treat yourself once in a while. Because I don't think you should live feeling deprived, because then that's also where you go overboard. And if you allow yourself to have that little, Dove chocolate when you're craving it in the afternoon, like that might just, satisfy that need and that craving that you have. Did you have anything else you want me to add for that?
No, I think that's good. I mean, yeah, definitely. One thing that really stuck out in our mentorship training was if you're eating something and your mind goes negative, drop the fork.
Yes.
So, so many times, like, people are like, oh, I've been so bad. No, like maybe you just made a poor choice. It's not bad. And like, just like today, Erin, that's not bad. Like that's living life. And I will say like, like so many times, like, people, they go all in with something and they eliminate carbs and dairy and gluten. And they think it's gonna make, well, then that's all their mind thinks about. Right. Mm-hmm. So, she really said like, if you're going to have a treat, try and have it out of the house, which I think is key, right? Because so many of us just cannot, like, if it's in your pantry, you can just keep going back, right? So if you're going to have a treat, try and have it out of the house. So be like, hey, kids, we're going to go to the coffee shop today, or we're going to go grab some ice cream today, and you're going out of the house, right? And then also, like, if your mind starts to go negative while you're eating it, and you're not like truly just like sitting there and like really like enjoying it, being like, this tastes so good, and I'm really enjoying this, and I'm enjoying the conversation, and I'm enjoying being here with my kids or my spouse, and this birthday party and the celebration, I'm enjoying it. If your mind starts to like, oh my gosh, I know I should be having this, I'm going to pay for this tomorrow, drop the fork and push it away. Because at that point, it's become a negative mind, you're getting a negative mindset, and you want to enjoy it. Like, because if that starts coming to your head, you've dropped the enjoyment of that treat. So that is something that really just stuck out for me when we did our mentorship training. Any questions so far? Okay. Erin, do you want to go through the Plate It up real quick? And just kind of laying out the breakfast, lunch.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So I absolutely love Plate It because it is so simple, and I love the visuals, and I love that you are in control of your portion sizes. And so for breakfast, we have half our plate is protein and half our plate is carbohydrates. And again, it's because we need that energy early in the day. So that's why you get more of your FFCs right when you start your day. And then the protein is, to fill you up. And so then as you go throughout the day, you'll notice that your plates get to be more veggies as you get throughout the day. Lunch and snack are the exact same. So if you look at those two, there's no difference. Snack is optional in the afternoon. I know for me, when I first started, I was so used to having like a mid-morning snack. And it was, again, like a lot of it's just your mindset. I just always thought that was how my flow of my day needed to go. But I just kind of got used to it. And I, would play with my portion sizes at breakfast. And so everyone's different. And then when you get to dinner, the reason, like, Jessica said, we don't have that FFC is because your body is preparing to go to sleep. And so we don't need those extra carbohydrates before we go to bed. And your body can process them throughout the day. And that's why we have them earlier and throughout the day. I don't know if you have any questions specifically about Plate It. One suggestion is to write down your portion sizes, because you might do 2 eggs for breakfast and you might not feel full. So maybe make a note that, hey, I felt kind of hungry an hour after breakfast. So then maybe the next day try making 3 eggs. And so that's one of my favorite things about this program is that, like, this is different for every single person. And same as like if you're going to have like oatmeal for breakfast, maybe you need half a cup of oatmeal, maybe you only need a third of a cup of oatmeal to feel full. So she talks about how, like, when you're done with your meal, like, you should feel full and satisfied. Like, you shouldn't feel hungry. So if you are, maybe add some more veggies, or, up your protein intake a little bit more. Any questions? And I think tracking your meal times is really important too, because you might kind of start to see like patterns throughout your day. When you're feeling hungry, maybe you need to bump up, your lunchtime.
So for the snack, my Shakeology snack usually after practice or after school, before I eat supper. So obviously that's mainly your protein. How do you fit that into your snack?
Yeah, so what I would usually do is add spinach as my veggie into my shake. And then for the FFC, that could be like, half a banana if you wanted to, or you could have like an apple on the side. Sometimes I would have my Beach Bar then. So yeah, you could kind of play around with it. Or, if you don't want to add veggies to your shake, like if you're a person that really wants to, eat your snack, you could have, some carrots or some cucumbers or whatever you wanted on the side. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah.
And another way too, to sometimes I would add oats, like just dry oats to my shake. So that's another way. And two, know, like, so with the snack, you don't necessarily have to have all those, you know, an FFC, a veggie, and a protein. But obviously veggies most, and then I would choose my protein. And then if you're feeling still like if you need, you know, more energy at that time, I would definitely add that FFC, but you don't have to add all three of those. Now I would not do just an FFC snack. You definitely want veggies and protein, and that, you know, then adding that carbohydrate, that FFC on if you need it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys have questions, great question, Sarah. Just you can unmute yourself, or you can also type it in. There's a chat at the bottom, so you can do either way. So if you're like, I have a question, but I don't know how to ask it, that's how. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now there are a few pages in here. It gets into your kitchen guide, your fridge and your freezer. And there's some great videos that Alana has about really setting up your kitchen and your fridge and your freezer. And this is really where, like, so tomorrow I will pick up my groceries and I'll show you guys, I'll do a video and a snapshot of my fridge on how I make veggies and fruits, like right first of sight. Like right when you open your fridge, you want easy to grab little bell peppers or carrots or strawberries or blueberries. Like you want things that are right there that you can grab and make it easy. Another tip is the Percival veggies. If you've heard her talk about that in her videos, and just having, you know, baggies of veggies ready to go that you can just grab and take with you, right? Because so many times that's the problem, is sometimes a lot of times the most convenient things to take and grab with you are an FFC, right? Or a silly treat. And so if you can have in your fridge things that you can quickly grab and go with you, you know, it makes that just a little bit easier. So, and then too, like you guys, if there's something in your fridge, your freezer, or your pantry that's going to tempt you, just take it out, like, and ask for the support of your family in doing that, right? So I would encourage you guys to do that. Let's see here. So yep, then she talks a little bit about the pantry, kitchen tools. I will say, you guys, don't overthink this. Like, you don't have to be making these elaborate meals, right? To start with, I would keep things pretty basic. Like, don't completely stress yourself out. Even when I talk with a lot of people about like food, meal planning and things like that, like I'm like, if you like to cook, even if you like to cook, like try to probably pick 2, maybe 3 new recipes to try a week, because it takes a lot of work to try new recipes. So keep it simple. And that's, you guys in this group, like seriously, just share away, like share what you're eating, because people are looking for ideas. And I will say, especially for dinner, because that is probably going to be the biggest change for so many of you, is you've probably been preparing your dinners with an FFC. Like it's, you know, it's really kind of our culture's just common way. And so really share in here, like, oh my gosh, I swapped out my rice for my cauliflower rice. And it really didn't make that much difference. My family had pizza tonight and we all made homemade pizza. I did the egg white pizza and it was still delicious. So really, really share, you guys. If like you find a really great dinner recipe, use it. Alana had said in one of our trainings that she'd worked with a client who she basically had like the same dinner for like 2 weeks in a row because it was working for her, right? And so if you're cool repeating meals, repeat it, because it makes it simple and it's easy. And if it's working for you, keep going with it. The More Sure model. Okay, here is, so if you finish a meal and you're still hungry, you want to make sure you go through that More Sure model. So you're going to reach for water first. And this is great, like especially like at a party or a social event or an outing. Like if you went through the buffet or went through like the little appetizer bar and you're like, gosh, I still want to eat. Here's kind of the steps to go through. You're going to go to water first, and then vegetables, proteins, and carbohydrates, right? So you're going to kind of eat your way through that. Like, okay, I'm going to have water first. Yep, I still am hungry. So I'm going to grab some veggies from that veggie tray. You know what? That just quite hasn't satisfied me yet. I'm going to grab some protein to help me fill up. And sometimes when you get to that point, you're like, you know what? I am full. Like you've been able to stop. You've been able to digest your food a little bit. You've got a little bit more protein in yourself, more fiber with the vegetables. You're like, I'm good. I can be done. So the More Sure model is a great way to just, if you are still hungry, like Erin said, you don't want to walk away from a meal feeling not satisfied. So if you do want more, go to the More Sure model and then make notes of that. And like maybe next time, like she said, you up your portion sizes. So I just love the fact that, you know, we aren't limiting portion sizes. we're really truly like trying to teach ourselves about food as fuel and how do we, you know, properly fill full with that. Questions? Okay, the last thing in here I just wanted to show you guys, so this is really great. They have the mix and match guide. So if you, like I said, like if you were finding things that were really working for you, you can fill in this mix and match guide for, you know, different options. For me, I will be like, my breakfast is consistent, and Alana really preached this in our mentorship, is really trying to get people to do a consistent breakfast. My breakfast every single morning, because my morning is rushed and it's crazy, is my Shakeology with spinach, and then I take a fruit with me, and I can eat that in the car while I'm dropping kids off. I drop Lauren off, and then we head to Josh's school. We have about 5-10 minutes, so I can sit in the car, talk with him, eat my pear, eat my banana, eat my apple, and that's my breakfast. And what is so great about that is because that's just consistent. Like, it is just my routine. Like, I make my shake, I throw it in the fridge while I shower, and before we walk out the door, I throw it on the blender. And because I have that consistency, so whatever your breakfast is, I really encourage you guys to find a consistent breakfast. If it's hard-boiled eggs and veggies and a piece of toast, like whatever your breakfast is, try and get it to be consistent, because that just becomes then part of your routine, and you don't even have to think about it. Like, I don't even think about breakfast. It just is like, I probably could do it blindfolded at this point, but I just know, and it sets the tone for my day, rather than being like, oh, what am I going to have for breakfast? And then it's like, I don't have time for breakfast now, I have to go. And so then you've skipped a meal, right? And you're like, oh, now it's just forget it. We'll start tomorrow, right? So having a preset breakfast is, I just think, really, really critical. And it doesn't have to be your shake. A lot of people like to have their shake in their afternoon for a snack. But just trying to find something that I would say is consistent and also easy, because breakfast is so many times, it's like most households are crazy at breakfast. Let's just be honest, right? Whether you have kids or you don't have kids, just trying to get up and out the door, it's usually just typically crazy, right? So that would be something I would add there. Any questions? Okay.
I think that part also has, like, I was always so hungry at lunch. So then I felt like I had to eat school lunch because I was legitimately, I was starving, and then I was kind of becoming like impatient with my students, and that was breaking my heart. And I'm keeping my breakfast consistent. I do the Shakeology, and then I take usually a banana, and I've been making it till about 11:30, and I'm not having, and then I don't like to snack in front of my students because they can't snack, so I don't think that's fair to them. And so, yeah, keeping my breakfast consistent has really helped me make it to lunch and be in a good, and not get hangry. I just get so hungry, and then I get hangry, and I'm like, oh, I just get so hungry.
I do too. And I will say, so like you made a good point, like since starting 2B Mindset, like I came off doing timed nutrition. And so I did move my lunch up a little bit. And like, I think just like looking at your day and like noticing things like that, where like, I know like some days I don't pick Josh up from preschool till 12:30. So I was waiting to eat with him. Well, then by the time I got him home, and like sometimes he'd be like, I want to play on the playground. And so then I was like, Mom is hungry. And so, but we'd play, and then we'd come home, and then I'd get him lunch. And then by that point I was starving. So then I was like, well, this is crazy. Why don't I just eat before I go get him? And so, you know, like finding like things like that, so that I just moved my lunch up a little bit. So yeah, so, you know, if you can make some modifications like that, and then, you know, you have maybe then, you know, since you are eating lunch at 11 or 11:30, you have that Snacktional to help you get through. But yeah, I think that's so important, is just to, you know, Catherine, to just kind of be thinking like, what's going to get me through? What's something it's going to be easy and consistent for me. So.
And I love a hot breakfast, but it wasn't working. I was wasting time. I have to commute a little bit to work. So I just, on the weekends, that's where I spoil myself, where I'll make the hot breakfast on the weekends, but.
Same here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I grew up with my mom making hot breakfast for me every morning, but that doesn't happen as a grown up anymore.
Gotta get your husband to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so then the final thing in this book is the restaurant guide, which I think is perfect. So like, don't be scared to like still go out to restaurants and stuff. And they give you really good, like if you're going to a deli, here's some options for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Or if you're going, you know, to a Japanese restaurant or Chinese restaurant. So there's a ton of different like cuisines and just ideas of what you could eat there. So I definitely encourage, like, that's why it's nice to have this with you guys. But there's also, it's all available digitally too. So just remember that it's all available digitally. So that is that. Let's see here. Then the final thing is recipes. So there's a great recipe guide. Erin, I know you've tried several recipes in here. You like the banana pancakes, right?
I love the banana pancakes. I also love, let's see.
The crunchy salad, right?
There's the zucchini Alfredo with shrimp is so good. Love that one. The Brussels sprouts with bacon is yummy. They're all so good. The cauliflower rice, the creamy calacito on page 40 is really good. And like that one with the roasted chicken, like you totally can just pick one up at Sam's Club, like don't feel like you have to be making everything from scratch. Like just keep it simple. The tuna salad is delicious if you like that. And if you have that, I guess it has apples in it for the FFC, but you could leave those out. And if you're a person likes to eat like on toast or something like that, like that's a yummy one too. Yeah, they're really good. And I did create an album in our group that I was going to start putting in some recipes that our family really likes, because I have a super picky eater, and I know some people had some questions about that. So as I make recipes and stuff for the family this week, I'm just going to start dropping them in there just so you can start to get some other ideas too.
Awesome.
I do have a question on the recipe though.
Yeah.
On page 48, and so it's a dinner recipe for the Southwestern Spaghetti Squash Black Beans Bowl. We bought some spaghetti squash. We want to try that, but how can you have black beans for dinner?
She says if you're just adding a little bit like that, they're more of an accessory.
Okay, because I saw that and I'm like, just want to make sure that I wasn't reading it incorrectly. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Great question.
And same as like she had mentioned one time something about like chili, like, like if it's just like a little bit in there, like compared to the whole pot, it's fine. And then again, just track it, and see how you do.
And she's such a big, like she loves beans and lentils because they're packed with protein. They're really good FFC. So it's a really good FFC to lean towards. So this is, we really just wanted to come on tonight, kind of address the major, first questions as we dig into this first week. Just embrace it, like just learn as we go, right? That's what this whole group is really about, is just learning. And this isn't about like, this is what I'm doing for the next 30 days. Like, nope, we're here with you guys. Like, and if we have to, like what I'd love to see this group do is we have to label this, January 2018 to be mindset group. And this group just keeps rolling. Like, and you guys are just tight knit and you guys just rock it. So really, like, as you have questions or if you're struggling with something, please, please, please reach out, share in the group, because if you have the question, chances are someone else has the question. But Erin and I both have went through the mentorship program and are part of the master training team. And it's just this program I am like so passionate about. And it's so crazy because when it first came out, I was a container girl, and I really kind of was like, I don't know, my containers work. I don't know. But seeing what this has done for so many people, because it really can just be, it's long-term, right? Like this is how we want to teach people how to eat for life, and really just change, the emotional ties that come with food. And there's still going to be that. And then even as Casey Arns spoke in that video, and I really encourage you guys to go and watch that video if you haven't, that I posted today. She still struggles with it, right? I think we always will. So much of it is instilled from our childhood, and and just it's our society. But if we can just have a better relationship with the scale and see this as like I'm just making positive choices for myself, right? I wake up today and I tell myself this is gonna be a weight loss day. Like Alana's really big about teaching her clients to wake up and say, yeah, that's my affirmation today. It's gonna be a weight loss day, and then you just have that mindset going into the day, like, no, I want to see a change on the scale today, or tomorrow, so I'm going to pass on that. So, but also don't starve yourself, because that is not what this program is about. Erin, anything to add?
No, just own it and just enjoy the process of feeling in control. And we're so proud of you all for being here and, really caring about your health and your well-being. It's a beautiful program, and it's really simple. Once you learn it and plate it, it just kind of like visually will just start to click with you. So yeah, I'm excited for you guys. It's just such a positive experience, and to do it with a community like this is so special.
I completely agree. Yeah, this is gonna be a good group. I can just tell it's gonna be a fun group. So, okay, so we will try and do kind of some of these like check-ins calls. Erin and I are gonna meet this week to see. I would like to do it. At least one of us will be on at least once a week to kind of field questions and kind of go live with you guys. And maybe even if we can kind of talk through like these were some of the main questions this week. Or if there's new questions, or if you guys want to get on live and chat. But we will definitely, one of us will be on live at least once a week for you guys. And there'll just be a lot of just personal messages to you guys and like checking in and really just digging in. And don't be embarrassed, you guys. Like, this is a learning experience. Like, it's a learning experience. So don't, like she said, nobody's perfect. Your tracker's never going to be perfect, and be okay with that. Like she said, own it, and then we just learn from it. So yeah. But that's all I had. So, but this week, so bunny of the week, and like we obviously want you doing all 4 bunnies, but like always, like we really just want to get in the habit of that water. We're working so hard on water today. Like, and really trying to stop yourself. Like every time you want to go for something and be like, nope, stop, water. And every time you guys do that, celebrate in this group. Be like, I stopped. I was making my kids lunch and I stopped and I had my water. Or I was in the break room at school and there was so much food around me and I wanted to grab, some of the treats, and I grabbed my water instead. So that is something we're really going to focus on this week. So with that said, that's all I got. That's all Erin's got, I think. Right, girl?
Yep, we're good.
Happy birthday to your little boy.
Thank you.
Yes. So you guys reach out. We'll create those albums, and we'll get started. Here's to big changes for all of you guys, and just really making it a positive group. So there we have it. All right, guys. Take care. Bye. Take care, everyone.